agencies remain in full control in actively maintaining peace and security in Bravo State. The statement, signed by the police PRO, Grace Iringe Koko, said the false narrative serves no purpose other than to disturb the peace and tranquility in the state, and therefore urged the public to disregard the false rumors and refrain from spreading unfounded and destructive reports, while calling on all and sundry to verify information from credible sources and avoid sharing sensational and baseless claims targeted at causing discord. The Commissioner of Police in charge of Bravo State hereby reiterates that the command remains committed to ensuring the safety and security of all residents of the state, and equally exhorts residents of Bravo State to go about their lawful activities without fear, as police officers and officers of other security agencies are on ground, vigilantly ensuring that peace and security are preserved at all times. Political stakeholders in Edo State, under the aegis of the Initiative for Democratic Advancement and Free Speech, has applauded the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for detaining the state's Accountant General Julius Anelu and 2 other government officials over corruption allegations. They urged the Commission to go after those lately accused of stealing public assets, insisting that Governor Godwin Obaseki must account for $1 trillion realized through federal allocations, generated revenues, loans, among others, in the last 8 years. The development comes barely 1 week before the official handover and inauguration of the administration of the governor-elect, Senator Monday Okpebolo. According to an impeccable source in the EFCC, out of 24.6 billion naira paid into the government's account, about 14 billion naira was left within 1 week after the money was deposited some weeks back, while the State Commissioner for Communication and Orientation, Chris Nakiare, said the arrest was targeted at crippling governance in the state. Reacting in a statement jointly issued in Abuja, the leaders of the group, Patrick Osaibovo and Andrew Isabelle, hailed the Anti-Graft Commission for rising to the occasion and also urged the EFCC not to wait until Obaseki leaves office before recovering the funds and assets allegedly stolen by some of its appointees. Outgoing Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki remembered for the many battles he fought after leaving office, but for his numerous achievements in repositioning the state. The governor made the remarks while answering questions from newsmen after the commissioning of the airport's road parks and garden in Benin City. And recall the past years in office when he fought several political battles with his political benefactors and opponents, adding that the people-oriented programs and policies put in place by his administration made the electorate to re-elect him in the 2020 governorship election. He said the same programs and policies made the people to vote for the People's Democratic Party candidate Asue Ighodalo in the September 21, 2024 governorship election. Speaking on the commissioned airports, road parks and garden projects, he disclosed that plans have been made to ensure the sustainability of the garden, which is expected to attract residents on a daily basis. Police officer attached to the Otuocha Area Command in Anambra East Local Government Area has shot and killed an unidentified male commercial bus driver. Eyewitness said the officer shot the deceased during an altercation over the payment of a 100 naira bribe to the security operatives at a checkpoint in the area. Reacting to inquiries, the spokesperson for the State Police Command, Tochukwu Ikenga, said the command is aware of the incident and that the situation is under control, adding that the police officer involved has been identified as Inspector Sani Suleiman and has been disarmed and detained for further investigations and internal disciplinary procedures. The scourge of bribery and extortion among police officers in Nigeria is a long-standing issue that has led to deep-seated mistrust between the public and law enforcement. And despite efforts to curb these menace, recent incidents continue to highlight the state of corruption within the Nigerian police force. Management of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, has rejected the annulment of the appointments of the new Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Bernard Odo, and its registrar, R.I. Nwokike. This is coming after the Federal Ministry of Education had on Friday written the chairman of the Governing Council of the university, Ambassador Greg Mbadiwe, cancelling the council's recent appointments, insisting they did not follow existing guidelines. The letter, which was signed on behalf of the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, Mrs. R. Ilyasu, had urged the Council to shelve all appointments until the new Minister of Education assumes office. The Academic Staff Union of Universities had also protested the credentials of the new Vice-Chancellor, contending that he was not qualified, disputing the claims that he had ascended to the position of a professor. People's Democratic Party in Ebonyi State has elected Mr. Peter Mwele as the new chairman. Mwele said he would start bringing those that left the party back to form a formidable force to take over the state in 2027, adding that Ebonyi has been a PDP state and that the party will bounce back in 2027. Mwele, who disclosed these during the state congress in Abakaliki, said the congress was supervised by a 7-man committee from the National Secretariat of the party and the Independent National Electoral Commission, as well as security agencies. Ugonna Ogbonna, chairman of the Congress Committee, described the exercise as peaceful and transparent and commended members of the party for conducting themselves orderly, while the national vice chairman, southeast of the party, Chief Ali Odefa, said the enthusiasm and love for PDP in the state and the country in general was still very strong. He opined that the party was putting things together to wrest power from APC in 2027 and dismissed any crisis in the party, and implored the new executives of the party in the state to embark on total reconciliation. Minister of Works Engineer David Umahi says most Nigerians driving on the major bridges in Lagos, such as 3rd Mainland Carter and Marina bridges, are not aware of the danger beneath the structures due to carbonization and chlorination on the pile caps. This was exposed by the minister when he took a tour of underbridges in Lagos with members of the National Assembly Committees on Works, adding that chlorination is the ability of the pile cap to absorb the chloride water that is attacking the road inside. The minister said some of the piles have detached from the pile caps, while some of the piles are no longer inside any sand, pointing out that the problem is aggravated due to illegal mining of sand over the years, among other issues. Speaking during the tour, Umahi said the essence is to let the National Assembly see the dangers beneath the bridges, while thanking President Ahmed Bola Tinubu for granting them the intervention fund to carry out the repairs on the bridges. He said the president has come to correct the ills of the country and pleaded with the National Assembly to assist the ministry in terms of budgeting. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has declared that the 2027 election will be a decisive moment for the Nigerian populace and a period of choice between the ruling All Progressives Congress and the citizens themselves. He disclosed these during the commissioning of the newly built ultra-modern People's Democratic Party Southwest Zonal Secretariat in Ibadan, Oyo State, which was named in honor of the late Soji Adagonodo, a former Southwest chairman of the PDP, and criticized the APC's governance, asserting that the party has failed to deliver on its promises. He said the forthcoming election will not merely be a contest between the APC and the PDP, but rather a referendum on the APC's governance, with the Nigerian populace at the center of this decision-making process. In addressing the internal conflict within the PDP, Makinde called on the party's leadership to take decisive action, adding that the enemies of the party are within, not the opposition parties, and urged members to work together to heal the rifts. He insisted that the party must maintain its unity in the Southwest. Ekiti State Amotokun Corps has confirmed the arrest of a 32-year-old man, Oluwatoyin Sunday, who has been accused of raping 25-year-old Abimbola Akindele. Officer Adeleye Abiodun Adewale, the head of the communications department at the Amotokun Corps headquarters in Ekiti State, who disclosed these, said the arrest was carried out by Amotokun operatives in the Efon local government command after the suspect was identified. According to Officer Adeleye, during the interrogation by the Amotekun officers, the victim recounted her ordeal and described how she was washing clothes inside a rented apartment when the suspect approached her, lured her into his room and forcefully raped her. Abimbola Akindele also revealed that Oluwatoyin Sunday had made several prior attempts to woo her at the same residence, but she had rejected his advances. The suspect, Oluwatoyin Sunday, has denied any involvement in the alleged crime and has since been handed over to the police in a phone Alaye for further investigations. Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission has arraigned the serving provost of the Federal College of Education Technical in Zamfara State, Hawau Abdul Karim, alongside a lecturer with the Sokoto State College of Education, Abdullahi Boyi, over alleged certificate forgery. ICPC accused the two defendants of forging an appointment letter and subsequent use of the same for application for the position of the provost at the college, and were also accused of making false statements to ICPC officials in the course of the investigation, which is an offense under Section 25 subsection 1A and punishable under Section 252 subsection B of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. A statement released on Sunday by the Commission's spokesperson, Demola Bakare, said the defendants pleaded not guilty to the 6 charges preferred against them. He said the trial judge, Justice Mohammed Sambo, after considering the applications, granted bail under specific conditions designed to ensure the defendants' continued presence throughout the trial proceedings, and adjourned the matter to November 21, 2024, when the hearing is set to begin. You're watching The Transition on Atlantic Television Network. We'll return after this break. To stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. This is Atlantic Television Network Transition. Now on to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu will on Monday swear in 7 new ministers. The swearing-in will take place at the Council Chamber of the State House, Abuja. Disclosing this via X, Tinubu's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the ministers are Dr. Nentawe Yelwatda, Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Mohamedou Dengiadi, Minister of Labor and Employment, Bianca Odumegu Ojuku, Minister of State Foreign Affairs. Others are Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Trade, E.D. Maiha, Minister of Livestock Development, Yusufata, Minister of State, Housing and Urban Development, and Dr. Swaiba Ahmed, Minister of State, Education. This is coming after the Senate cleared the ministers last week, while Tinubu had reassigned 10 ministers to new ministerial portfolios and discharged 5 others and nominated 7 new ministers. And on October 31, 2024, the Senate confirmed all 7 nominees after screening each of the nominees. House of Representatives Committee on Renewable Energy has invited stakeholders to an investigative hearing on the $2 billion renewable energy grants and investments in Nigeria. According to the committee, the investment has not had a proportional impact on the nation's energy security challenges, adding that in July 2024, President Bola Tinubu disclosed at the Africa Natural Resources and Energy Investment Summit in Nigeria that the nation had attracted over $2 billion of investment in the sector in the past decade. A statement issued on Sunday by the committee chairman, Victor Ogene, in Abuja said the probe will cover the period from 2015 to 2024. And despite the government attracting over $2 billion in renewable energy investments in the past decade, as reported by the Rural Electrification Agency in 2023, there has been no noticeable improvement in the sector. He also said if the dysfunctional electricity generation and supply system persists, contrary to the objectives behind government's investments and grants aimed at developing the renewable energy sector, the House will probe the investment to determine the integrity of the procurement and execution processes, adding that the probe is not a witch hunt, but an exercise to discourage shady dealings and promotes transparency and objectivity in managing government or public resources. Leading the debates, the lawmaker said the parliament was aware that poor electricity generation, transmission and distribution pose a significant threat to the nation's industrial and technological development goals, adding that successive governments since 2015 have made substantial investments and attracted multi-million-dollar foreign grants for Nigeria's renewable energy subsector to create a viable and sustainable alternative energy supply. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has urged President Bola Tinubu to direct the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, to ensure the release of all #and bad governance protesters, including the 32 hungry and malnourished children. Serap said the children and some other protesters were detained solely for the peaceful exercise of their human rights. A statement signed by Serap's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadari, said the detention of the protesters may discourage other citizens from exercising their rights, adding that if the President does not act on its recommendations within 48 hours, legal actions will be taken against him. This is coming after the letter, which was copied to the chair rapporteur of the United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, Dr. Matthew Gillett, urged Tinubu to direct Mr. Fagbemi and appropriate law enforcement agencies to promptly investigate the circumstances surrounding the grave violations of the human rights of the children and other protesters in detention, to identify and bring to justice those responsible, and to ensure justice and remedies for the victims. The organization said bringing charges against children and detaining them simply for the peaceful exercise of their human rights is clearly not acting in the best interest of the child, adding that their detention violates their rights to education, apparent ill treatment of the protesters, including the 32 hungry and malnourished children. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi has commenced moves to drop the charges brought against the 32 minors arraigned before Justice Obiora Egwatu of the Federal High Court in Abuja. Hours after the arraignment, the AGF disclosed in a statement while taking over the matter from the Inspector General of Police, adding that there were issues his office would like to review to enable him make an informed decision and to immediately initiate steps to request an earlier adjournment date. Also, the Defense Counsel for all 119 defendants, Marshal Abubakar, said the AGF had requested transfer of the case file and the minors among the 119 remanded protesters were in the custody of the SARS IRT, adding that they were kept in a large hall as a purported postal system for juvenile detention was non-existent. Meanwhile, human rights activist and lawyer Deji Adeyanju has raised the alarm over the whereabouts of 2 children arrested by the police, and the minors were supposed to be arraigned alongside the 76 accused persons brought to court on Friday. He also said the two children were on the list of those earlier taken to court by the police to obtain a remand warrant a few months ago and called on the Attorney General to use his good offices to discontinue the case. Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities and Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities and Allied Institutions said the federal government only released 1 out of the 4 months withheld salaries and had decided that the strike may continue. The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation said that it had released the withheld salaries for which the university workers embarked on strike, while the unions under JAC began an indefinite strike on Monday due to 4 months of unpaid salaries, leading to a shutdown of universities' activities nationwide. SANU National President Muhammadu Ibrahim said top university officials, including vice-chancellors, bosses, and registrars, also hadn't been paid and had further impacted on the university operations. He also said 98% of members complied with the strike and they would not return to work until their demands are met. While the chairman of the SANU and JAG, Muhammad Ibrahim, confirmed that members have started receiving salaries and only 1 out of the 4 months withheld salaries has been released. Federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to universal health coverage by prioritizing primary health care and collaborative efforts with stakeholders. The coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, made the pledge at the Legislative Dialogue on Improving Maternal Health in Nigeria in Abuja. A statement signed by the head of the Public Relations Unit at the National Primary Health Care Development Agency, Remi Adeleke, on Sunday, said representatives from the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, the National Assembly, and partners convened to discuss strategies for advancing healthcare services. Pate, who was represented by the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Muyi Aina, declared that reduction of child and maternal mortality is a topmost area of focus in the renewed hope agenda of the present administration. He also said, despite the significant increase in resources allocated to the health sector, the need to invest more in the health sector cannot be overemphasized, and highlighted the progress made in revitalizing primary health care, while citing increased funding and sector-wide approaches. Indigenous people of Biafra has advised the federal government to put an end to the activities of Eastern Security Network if Miyetti Allah is banned and open grazing abolished. A statement by the spokesperson of the group, Ima Powerful, said Eastern Security Network would continue to defend the Southeast if Miyetti Allah is not banned, adding that Nigerians should be grateful to its leader, Nnamdi Kanu, for preventing the activities of killer headers from the Sahel. The statement also said every well-meaning Easterners should be grateful to Nnamdi Kanu and ESN for blunting and putting a permanent stop to the relentless advance of killer headsmen from the Sahel, who are hell-bent on conquering indigenous populations all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. Operatives of the Nigerian police force have arrested no fewer than 130 suspects for high-level cybercrimes, and among the suspects are 113 foreign nationals, comprising 87 males and 26 females from China and Malaysia. A statement on Sunday by the force spokesperson Muyiwa Adejobi said 17 of the suspects were Nigerian, and the suspects were arrested at a building at the next cash and carry area in the Jahi area of the Federal Capital Territory. Adejobi said the suspects were reportedly using computers and other sophisticated devices to facilitate criminal activities, and the police were analyzing the exhibits recovered from the suspects. And now we'll move on to some business reports. Dangote Refinery has finally made its petrol prices public following the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria and Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria claimed. There have been conflicting reports over the price of fuel from Dangote refinery. Ipman and Petron had earlier claimed to be importing petrol products at cheaper rates compared to Dangote price. Reacting to the claim in an official statement signed by its group chief, branding and communications officer Anthony Chijina, on Sunday evening, the refinery disclosed that its petroleum products are sold to trucks at 990 naira per litre and 960 naira per litre into ships. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency have recovered drug consignments worth 4.4 billion naira hidden in the lavatories of an Ethiopian Airlines aircraft. The drugs, according to a statement on Sunday by the NDLEA spokesperson, Femi Babafemi, were discovered during the post-landing cleaning of flight 18900 from Addis Ababa to Lagos, and the drugs were wrapped in 9 polythene bags and concealed in the waste collectors in the 2 rear lavatories of the aircraft, stressing that at least 30 suspects are being questioned in connection with the drugs uncovered. He also said the seized drugs were transported from Brazil to Ethiopia by ingestion and excreted in Addis Ababa by a group of couriers, while other traffickers attempted to smuggle them into Nigeria through Lagos airports before the plan was thwarted with the cooperation of the airlines authorities and other airport stakeholders. Meanwhile, Babafemi said drugs concealed in body cream containers and artworks were also recovered by the agency's operatives. At the Apapa seaport in Lagos, Babafemi said NDLEA operatives intercepted 754,000 pills of tapentadol and acetaminophen, 225 milligram, worth 525 million naira, in a targeted and watch-listed container from India during a joint examination with customs service officers and other security agencies, among others. And now we move on to international news. United States Vice President and Democratic Party's candidate Kamala Harris has promised to legalize recreational marijuana if elected president. She also promised to create opportunities for Americans to succeed in the marijuana industry. Harris disclosed these in a statement on her X handle recently. Kamala Harris will face former President Donald Trump of the Republican Party in tomorrow's election. She emerged as the Democratic Party's candidate after President Joe Biden stepped down as the party's candidate in July and endorsed her. A cross-section of American celebrities, including Beyoncé, Cardi B, only 1 year old. Mr. Rusoke did not reveal the exact ages of the children who died. Palabek Refugee Settlement is home to more than 80,000 refugees and asylum seekers. Polio vaccination campaign in North Gaza is expected to resume on Sunday, a day after the World Health Organization said 6 people, including 4 children, were injured following a strike on the Sheikh Radwan clinic. The agency did not say who was responsible for the attack, but an official from Gaza's civil defense agency, and it said it was carried out by an Israeli. Quadcopter Israel said it is investigating but does not believe it was responsible, while the UN showed another example of the indiscriminate strikes on civilians. The second phase of the vaccine rollout began on Saturday after being postponed in October due to intense Israeli bombardments, mass displacement, and lack of access in the region. The immunizations are resuming as 15 UN and nearly a month after an Israeli ground offensive began. South Korea, Japan, and the United States conducted a joint air drill involving a heavy bomber on Sunday. South Korea Fabio Cannavaro is in talks to become manager of Deportivo La Coruna. This was disclosed by football transfer expert Fabrizio Romano in a tweet via his X account on Sunday, and Cannavaro had helped Udinese to avoid relegation last season. The former Italian defender has coached the likes of Benevento, Al Nassr, and Guangzhou Evergrande in the past. North Korean women under 17 have won the latest edition of the FIFA World Cup tournament after beating Spain in the penalties at the Estadio Felix Sanchez Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. La Roja girls of Spain lost 2 out of their 3 kicks, while their counterparts from North Korea missed only 1 kick out of the 5 played. Hence, the penalty kicks ended 3-4 North Koreans. The penalty shootouts took place after 1-1 at full time of the